Down to myself. 70 goes 1385, ground loose beneath the keel, and checks with chart. I am verifying that my course team is ready to everything smart the ship. My team is supposed to ship
And good morning. Holy shit balls. Good morning, man. I'm excited. I've got the Christmas spirit. I feel good today, man. I came down to Louisiana. I met my mom's, been hanging out with her, helping out one of my brothers over here whose house caught fire the night before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving dinner at my oldest brother's house. Here in northern Louisiana, I am in the good town of Mendon right now. So that's where we're broadcasting from at this very moment. And yeah, thanks for joining us this morning. I hope you've had a cup of coffee and smoked a bowl with us. Lower some of your pre-day anxieties and stressors because you know that, well, guess what? You know, you got Christmas presents that you got to go buy, and you're trying to get it all in, and you're running around, and the damn kids are freaking pulling at your skirt or hanging on your tool belt as you're walking out the damn door. You got to say I love you to your children about 15 times because, well, when they're like my nephews and nieces, right, and they're young, you know, I got a nephew named Cash. I got a nephew named Riggs, and that I was playing with over at my brother's house. And man, all boy, super cute, man. They're adorable, and watching them with their dad, it warms my heart. And I got to tell you, right, after 20 years in the military, I had a real hard time, you know, anytime coming back to Louisiana. My childhood, let's say, was less than pleasant a lot of the times, and as was many of our lives. That many of us come from rough upbringings and very humble, difficult beginnings, and some of us still live there and still reside in those communities. And I just don't think that we network enough amongst ourselves as what I like to call the superior serfs, right? We're the superior serfs. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, I believe that we live in a working class slavery to the American government, and it's by design. I don't think it's some fucking conspiracy theory. For those of you who just are tuning in for the first time, FYI, if you're in your workplace and your boss is going to get pissed if I drop an F-bomb or two, put in some earbuds or something. And if you got kids around, not for them either. Okay, but at least in my opinion, I wouldn't have my kids in this kitchen with, you know, with this conversation, right? This is for adults. It's for the working class men and women out there, for us to just be frank and open and honest about ourselves, right? Who we are, where we come from, what our backgrounds are. And what I'm working on building here, not only in this podcast, but predominantly the Veteran Liberty Network, right? This is only one of the beginning arms of the Veteran Liberty Network. The Veteran Liberty Network is so titled because it's going to be a veteran nonprofit. There we are. Got some of my boys on, Frank or Tony. These are two of my my right-hand men, good men, solid guys. They're out there on the streets of DC. They got footage last night. It's up on our Veteran Liberty Network page right now. They're in the fucking shit. You know what I mean? They're in there with Antifa. They're in there with Proud Boys. We're not pulling one side or the other, right? We're not pulling for any fucking team over there. These are our people with from all backgrounds, right? And we're inviting more. Here's what we want. We want citizen journalists, okay? You're a journalist, whether or not you realize it. If you're intelligent enough to speak and convey the English language, you can articulate yourself and your positions. You can have a discussion. You have, you know, a critical thought process. You ask thought-provoking questions. You dig deeper into the meanings of things and to their design. We want you. We want you to be a fellow creator with us. We want you to come in and we want to help you build out your own platforms, right? We want you to be able to do your thing. A lot of you are afraid of being able to develop something of this nature. We can teach you. We can show you. You can grow with us. We want more shows to populate the Veteran Liberty Network. What I aim to achieve with this is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day a week broadcasting news network from small town America, from working men and women all across the nation. The working class, us, what we're seeing, what we're talking about, right? How government is functioning on our level. It's on the local level that's not getting any news. It's on the local level where a lot of people aren't involved, and we want to inspire that right there, right? Just what Anthony said. This is what we want to inspire. We want people to go, you know what? I can make a difference. I can. But I got to start with me. I can't keep yelling at my legislators to do it for me. And so we're going to build out a media station. But that's not it. It's unending. Okay? I chose Veteran Liberty network for a reason. That name was actually founded and discovered on my cousin's back porch, as it were, after I had smoked a joint. That's when I came up with that. Or Brian Lee. So there was a group of us. Me, I think it was Chris Cole, Brian Lee, my cousin Will, and we were just out on the porch and we're just shooting the shit. We're just brainstorming, right? We're just throwing out ideas. How can we just really affect some change? How can we really just get some things going? And there's different shows and stuff out there. There's people building out their own shows, their own platforms. That's an amazing, it's fantastic. I support these people growing these platforms and having these discussions. The likes of Eric Carroll and my buddy Lauren L. Palmer over at Fuck Child Support and the Child Support Hustle. All of these different pages and promoters and content creators are getting this word out, getting this message out. And we want to start bringing them all together, right? Get a whole network. We broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of working men and women's, their own messaging style, right? We want to talk to you. But to do so, you got to be a Patreon member. Yep. There it is. That's the deal. That's the deal. You show that you're committed because you're going to help build this network that you're going to be involved in. Do you like what we're doing? I mean, is it different? Yeah, I know that it is. It's kind of a rhetorical question. What we're doing is entirely different. What we're going to do will be entirely different than how media has been broadcast in this nation. Because we're going to run a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week network founded by veterans, many of which are disabled veterans, many of which who are being kept from their children, right? The people who really, really laid it out there and said, you know what, I'm going to defend the Constitution. Those are the ones that are building out this platform and the entire network that we're going to build. And we want you to be involved with that process. We want you to come to the inside and help us and watch it grow. Your kids need that. We need that. We need the involvement of our communities getting back together and having coffee and having discussion, not yelling at one another through social media. And it has to be extremely diverse, right? I didn't like the forced diversity that the military does, and they do that, right? They have quotas to put minorities into the military. They do. They won't tell you that. The Navy will say they have goals. They don't. They have quotas to put minorities into the military or into the Navy. And I don't like that. The reason why I don't like that is that CJ's fucking laughing at me. He's like, yeah, smoke another one, dummy. That's also a part of the nature of this show. Okay. I smoke weed, right? I'm not going to lie to you. Why do I need to lie to you? God put it here, not me, right? If there's any issue with the side effects of the medication I use, which is weed, and so I'm a journalist on my medicine whenever I broadcast. So there's going to be lots of outtakes, live outtakes. And that's the other thing is that it's not recorded, right? It's not pre-recorded. It's not edited. For your viewing pleasure or for my creature comfort, if I say something fucking stupid, there it is. There it is for all the world to have seen, heard, and recorded and can broadcast a million times. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'm a retired Navy veteran who hasn't seen his kids in over 2 years because of state overreach, domestic policy that was designed to destroy our families. And I'm very outspoken about it. I've developed and I'm developing this platform and other platforms along with it. And I've got a massive network right? From being in the military for 20 years, being an activist to reform the judicial system, running for governor. I've got a massive network of people, very talented people that love me. They're my family, they're my friends. And in all this time, people would ask me, Cash, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And I just didn't have a good, clear answer. You know, I tell them like, call your legislator, or, you know, email your legislator, or run for office, or something to that degree. Yeah, the marijuana will affect the show, which is one reason that we give that disclaimer. It's not for kids, right? And we believe as adults that we can just talk freely, speak freely about the news and what's happening in our country and what's not happening in our country. I'm not certain I understand the question, and she might need to rephrase that. Or CJ, maybe you can rephrase it for me. That's funny. Hey, we need sponsors that are pro cannabis, that are pro disabled veterans using cannabis. We would like sponsors to help support this show to whatever degree that they feel comfortable. I don't care. I mean, you could have a barber shop and if you're pro disabled veterans using cannabis and exercising their First Amendment right to report the news freely, and using that cannabis, to be honest, I am much more loose-lipped. You know what I mean? I will say what's on my mind. I'll just let it out there. I'll say what's on my mind, and
You see that without
that's my mother. A frequent on the show will probably be Mama Jackson, right? My mother. She is the most kind-hearted person on this earth, and I think that if you ever really want to know how a person truly is, look and see how they treat their mother, right? And my mom will tell you, I curse like a sailor. She encouraged me to go in the fucking Navy, right, Ma?
I did. So
You
you're a
did.
sailor. You earned the right.
She helped push me into the military, right? And that old adage of curse like a sailor, it's true.
I taught you how to talk. And
When I first got into the Navy, whenever I stepped off the foot in boot camp up there in Great Lakes, Illinois, man, my ears were bleeding. I thought that I was funny and used a few good curse words as a teenager. I didn't have shit on those salty ass sailor. Man, some shit would come out of their fucking mouths, and you're like, what did they just do to me? So that's exactly what this platform is going to be, right? It's going to be a network of not just citizen journalists, right? I'm looking at putting in an actual studio in a small town in America. I have not chosen that location, but here's what we're looking for. Because if I don't find it in the town that I want to put this in, and I have to be open about it, right? This is something that small town America has to be accepting of. That I'm a disabled veteran. I'm very liberty oriented. And the network of veterans that are banding together with me to talk about this idea of liberty, we're having the founding fathers discussions, okay, about what our government should actually look like and what it should or should not be doing. And we have already identified and can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that government is simply functioning to protect itself and make it harder on working men and women. In the state of Illinois alone, they have exempted the entire judicial branch, the 1/3 of the Illinois state government has exempted itself from a Freedom of Information Act request, a FOIA. That's what's known as a FOIA. That's what reporters like myself and my crew in the Veteran Liberty Network, so we submit these FOIA requests to the states. And in Illinois, as a reporter, if you send a FOIA request to the courthouse, it's denied. The judicial branch has ruled that they are exempt from transparency. Do you fucking understand the significance of the tyranny behind that? Do you truly understand the tyranny behind an entire branch of state government in the 7th largest state in the nation has exempted 1/3 of its government from transparency? And their courts upheld that, folks. It sided with some fucking appeals court case law in Illinois. So we can't even get any information. We can't get any information on how the fucking mobsters of the judicial system are operating. It's not just family law. It's criminal justice, the criminal justice system, and it's also inside our civil courts. It's in probate court, right? But they still have Information Act request for the states. So it's not federal only. Transparency is for the entirety of government. I don't give a fuck. You should be able to walk into a the sheriff's department and go, "Hey, I want some video footage from this day," right? This shouldn't be so fucking hard, okay? Their body cam footages, right? For the police and the judicial branch should both, and maybe even the legislative, they should all be wearing body camera footage that's uploaded to a public server, to a cloud, multiple clouds, every single day. They should. We should see and know what the fuck's going on in our government, and we don't. They've hidden it from us for a reason. It's entirely impossible to CJ's motion at me, and we got some callers, and I see them down there. John and Danny, man, thanks for coming on. We're going to grab you guys. Well, fuck it right now. Throw one of them in. John, what's up, brother?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I was just thinking, regarding the justice system, I do think that they should be obliged to wear the body cams so we can see exactly what happens in that moment in time.
Right. Right. I mean, in all honesty, with today's technology, they could be live broadcasting their interactions. Right?
I agree.
We could stream police officers right onto a police network, a citizen police network. Why aren't we having more intelligent discussion about real solutions, right? How about a live camera? How about that way you can hear every word that comes out of their mouth? They're mic'd up, right? Walking around streaming. I sit here and have discussions for 4 fucking hours straight. Okay, so I could have worked half a damn shift on a normal workday, normal 8-hour workday, and everybody saw and heard what I did, right? I mean, there's no disputing it. I mean, do you think that's something that we can do?
I mean, the problem we got is citizens, because everyone has access to Facebook, Snapchat. We have access to mobile phones, so we can video them right back. We can pull that out of our pocket, video them right back.
Right.
It's just it's a case of that. I do feel that police have a lot of pressure on them regarding their jobs because people can't upload footage of them swearing or doing something bad.
Sure.
I feel sorry
it's
for
taken
that
out of context
because it's public shame.
Right. We don't get a full picture. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I entirely agree with you. And that's what we don't know, right? So, it's always a he said, she said between the police and whoever their purported offending party is. So it turns into a he said, she said opportunity. And typically what would happen is that the public, because we hold the police in high regard in that position, will normally fail to believing and trusting the police officer. But we really don't stop to consider that potentially there are bad police officers doing really bad things, and we all need to discuss that. We all need to see that. And it's not putting the weight of this on the police, right? And I really want to correct this, for the police officer community, and really every one of you. Okay, the police are used as the blue collar whipping boys, right, in government. They're a tool, okay? That tool is enforcement of stupid fucking statutes and penal codes developed by the legislative branch that's primarily comprised of attorneys, and then attorneys win on both sides of the aisle because you have some that move up their career rung through the state, through public service, right? Your court appointed attorney, that's your junior attorneys coming in, starting off their career on your fucking liberty, on your freedom. A court appointed attorney, right? Here's my argument. You should have the best fucking attorney appointed to you, right? Because the defense of liberty shouldn't be placed upon the back of some kid who just came out of college, right? Or some young law school student just setting foot into the courthouse, and now they're going to defend people's liberty against an intimidating system that they're still learning. They're just beginning their careers in it, right? That's like putting, I don't know, a little league football kid into an NFL game, right? To defend liberty for you. That's wrong. That's wrong. The American people deserve the best. They don't deserve the worst, right? And that's why they have such a rate of people just copping a deal. They press the fucking deal. You got no choice. Do I do 25 years in prison, right? Or do I do 6? Can't afford an attorney. The court appointed one's incompetent as fuck. You don't know your rights because they don't teach the Constitution, and we don't have a discussion about it as working men and women. We don't really assert our rights. We just go along to get along and just let it happen. Let our brothers and sisters and moms and dads and the working class, they're the ones paying through the sweat on their brows. They're paying the dividends, right? And they just cycle us in and out. We're either in jail or we're slaving away somewhere for some fucking corporation. Look at all of our small businesses that are shut down right now. I mean, the
I agree.
in the country is
do you
bullshit. I'm sorry, John.
sorry. I
No,
didn't
no,
mean
go
to
ahead, brother.
interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I mean, do you think, obviously, because of the current situation of what's going on, I mean, do you think that could be prevented with a lot of small businesses closing?
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm sorry, and maybe it's become because I was educated in Louisiana. They are ranked dead last in the nation right now. I don't know what they were ranked in 1996 when I graduated from high school. But these small businesses are shut down. The big box stores are open. That forces a larger number of people, the same amount of people, into fewer locations. Right now, we're concentrated. Now we're all going to the same centers. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean,
No.
yeah, we have to social distance. But you go to Walmart and nobody's social distancing. The employees don't take it seriously. You see, the working class people see through the facade. It's not that they're stupid; they see through it.
I agree.
They know it's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree completely.
So where are you at, John? They dropped off. Danny, we'll throw Danny up here. John, thanks for joining us, man. You got dropped off there, so we're going to go to the next guy here. What's up, Danny?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, man, where you at, brother?
I'm from the UK.
Fuck yeah, we got UK in that. You see what I'm saying? Boom.
So, I just wanted to say, I actually wanted to speak to what's the fella's name called? Was it John?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm going to come from a controversial background here. I work with the police in the UK.
Oh, cool.
And I take your points on. Absolutely. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. But the thing about the live stream, was it you or was it John who came up with that live streaming on the live cams? For body cams for the police.
Shit, I don't know. It could have been him.
Well, here in the UK, they trialed it. They trialed live stream body cams on police officers, so people could see what the police were doing.
Okay.
And it went terribly wrong. They got a lot of complaints, and a police station in Wakefield near me actually shut down because of it. They got sued.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The live streams showed pornographic things, and it wasn't very good, but they got closed down for it.
So,
Basically, someone hacked into the system. I don't think
somebody
it.
hacked into the system and put it in.
Yes.
So it just wasn't a secure system. It's not that it's a bad idea. There was kind of an infiltration of the system.
I think live streams, whatever live stream you do, it's not going to be impeccable.
Could I throw out a hypothetical or a conspiracy theory
Yeah, sure.
that might arise in somebody's brain like my own?
Yeah, sure.
That footage, in all likelihood, may have been introduced by someone who tampered with that system that did not want the police live streaming, and so
Possibly.
they set. Is that a possibility?
I think maybe, yeah, I take that.
To protect the police state, to protect, and it's a fantastic, man. I'm thrilled that you called in and having a working class. I mean, we're literally having a working class conversation. For me, first thing in the morning, on what's now a global network. You're really, Danny, as of this moment, you're the first person to make this a global network of working class people, and it's a really magnificent point. I had no idea that it had been field tested somewhere, and so it's interesting that you share those results. But I would think that there's a solution to that, though. That we're smart enough to come up with a solution to say, I don't know, send it to a server that you have that if somebody wanted the footage, they have to walk into to a kiosk on a definitely not at a police station place or anywhere else, but off site where that information goes to. And if you want to get it, well, all you gotta do is go in there and request the information, and they just give you a USB drive, or you exchange a USB, or whatever technology exists for that moment, but to exchange and just get it. It shouldn't be so hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And the live stream, it went over a period of about 6 months, and there was a hell of a lot of officers who got caught out. Someone who was in, you won't know it, it's a small town in the UK, the north of England. They got caught out for actually having sex while on the live stream.
Right.
And I'm being serious. They got sacked for it. They forgot to turn the live cam off.
I mean, well, and look, and that's a great reason why the live stream should only be going to servers that are accessible by adults, right?
Yeah.
And I think to that end, that's where so let's say if it was, because it's in the course of public service, right? In all likelihood, because police do what they do, they run into very terrible, crazy, tragic situations. I mean, like people getting shot on fuck sex. I mean, fuck that. I mean, they're gonna have to shoot somebody sometimes, possibly on a live feed, or neutralize them to whatever degree they have to. So it might incorporate a lot of violence. Again, not for kids. So I would say that it should be getting sent to servers that are only accessible by adults. But as well as I do, that stuff will get leaked out. It'll get pulled out. It's going to get pulled out and put on the internet. And so that's where parenting comes in, where you or me or any other parent, it's our job and responsibility to decide what our children have access to.
Well, you guys are coming on from a different perspective, because obviously I'm in the UK. We don't have guns, but I think the same principles do still arise with knife crime is very high in the UK at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, it needs to be. I think if they can do it in a secure arena where they can get a live stream that isn't obviously open to the public or to children, but it's accessible when you need it. If you've been through something, you should be able to see, actually, right, I'm going to get what that police officer has had, and I'm going to see what they were doing for evidence. But going back onto that live streaming thing, it was closed, so no one actually has. No one knew what was happening. Basically, it was a closed experiment in, as I say, the north of England near Wakefield. That went ahead and it failed.
Okay. So they just never really found out or discovered what happened. They didn't discover what happened on how that video winded up inside there, or a live stream from somebody having sex. How that wound up in there.
No, it was the guy was off duty on a lunch break, and his missus was in the car with him. He met his missus, and he forgot to turn the live stream off, so it was still on his body cam. And
that's a human error. That's a human error.
Yeah, I know, but he got sacked for it. He got sacked.
Yeah, and that's bullshit, right? And that's the fucking power of the state, right? And this, when we don't have really frank, honest working men and women discussions, these are the type of bullshit policies we end up having to cope and deal with. I mean, so fucking what? He forgot to turn the body camera in. You know what? We were all made through procreation. Yeah, I mean, we exist because of our sexual drive to have sex with, the opposite sex, right? That's why humanity fucking exists. And you're going to fire somebody for exercising? Come on, man. Like, shouldn't it have been on the light? No, it was a human error. Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And the UK police is an absolute mess at the moment. It's a disgrace. There was a man who got sacked a couple of days ago for calling his own colleague a chock ice. Now, apparently it was a racial slur. Sorry, but if you don't know what a chock ice is, it's just an ice cream in the UK, and he got sacked for it, for calling his own colleague a chock ice.
So it was taken like a racist.
Yeah, it was taken as a race issue, and they
right, and that shit happens all the time. Look, I was stationed with some people, and they knew who they were. I'm not. If they want to come on any time and verify what I'm going to say, I believe these are my friends, right? That I served with, of all backgrounds, right? So imagine a bunch of military people sitting in an office, and you've got a bisexual woman, you've got a guy from South Korea, you've got a guy from the Philippines, you've got a guy from I think it was from Dominican Republic or Ecuador. He's going to yell at me because I forgot. You got a Hispanic guy. This is what that was, the diversity of the people I was serving with now. Okay. And we were very strict on these in the military, super strict on this, right? Behind closed doors, the working men and women, the working class, they joke about it, right? We poke fun at one another. They do, man. I've had all kinds of off-color shit said to me, right? About being white, about being a cracker, or, really I made fun of for being like a trailer park trash redneck, right?
Yeah.
It's how they like to portray me. So, but we'll talk about it and we'll joke about it. We know that they exist, and it's funny to us, the working men and women. We don't really give a fuck, man. It's the elite that give a shit. They give a fuck. We don't really give a fuck. People when somebody's using a term to be really nasty towards you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People really can't take a joke, and it's a sad reality. I think give it 10, 20 years time, and you're going to be locked up for jokes. It's ridiculous.
Right. Well, and that's why. Yeah, I mean, that's why I love like the likes of Dave Chappelle. Man, that guy's like a fucking hero of mine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love him.
He stands for what he believes in. He's like, no, you're not going to push me around on this shit. I believe what I believe. I'm my own free man. I can speak of my own free will. And I'm not going to capitulate and agree with you. And that's that cancel culture nonsense bullshit that we see where people are intimidated into silence to shut down their voices, right? That's some Marxist fascist shit right there, right? That's on both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So we just brought in another. Yeah, we just brought in another.
Jason's a mate of mine, by the way. Hello, Jason. How you doing?
Jason.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah,
shut the front door.
No,
shut the front door.
I told him I was on. I told him I was on.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, me and Jason, we grew up in the UK for a long time, but obviously we like having a lot of chats or live streams regarding the current situation. But yeah, it's pretty good. I've watched your channel numerous times, and we were wanting to come on at some point, but we didn't.
People don't believe me.
The subject matter. Say that again.
I think people think that I was full of shit. Because I tell people.
No, you're not, mate. No, you're not.
I'm like, you won't
Honestly.
believe how big my network is. I
Yeah.
would tell people, I know people in England, I
Yeah,
know people in Ireland,
we're trying to
Australia.
push your name out over here because we think a lot of your stuff actually makes
I want to
sense.
come. I want to come to the UK.
Come, we'll
Right.
have a
Come,
pint with
brother,
you.
come.
Have a pint with
There, yeah, fuck a pint. Can I smoke weed?
you.
See, look, people don't understand. And look, I know that there's veterans in the UK. In fact, I have some friends of mine that are veterans over there, and I'm trying to get them more involved into this network. And we should do that. Like, I want the working class men and women from the UK to be able to come to the United States and hang out with us and see the shit that we do, right? And
Absolutely.
how we're doing business. And we want to come over there because I think, honestly, fellas, there's some old school English law shit that got brought over here that's fucking
Really?
terrible. It's terrible law, and it's part of what's destroyed the fabric of our country over here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, the UK, Jason, I'll tell you, it's an absolute mess at the moment. Are you in lockdown? Over in America, what's going on there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, we definitely have lockdowns. Now, the variety of the lockdowns are normally far stiffer, where you have primarily Democratic oversight, right? So the states like Illinois, New York, California, New Jersey, these are states that are primarily ruled, and that's what they are. They're ruled by Democrats there. And these draconian policies, and you see the hypocrisy, right? We call out people like the mayor, Lori Lightfoot of Chicago. Chicago is the heart of the state of Illinois, which is the 7th largest state in our nation. And they've got about a population of 6 million people. And I don't know how the UK is broken up property wise, but we have counties, cities,
Yeah.
smaller towns and municipalities.
Well, Danny, you're still over in Wakefield, aren't you? I mean, it's different in the Midlands because we've got tier systems.
Yeah, tiers. Yeah.
Over here, and it's a bit different.
Okay.
So it's like tier 1, you're less likely to be in lockdown, but tier 2,
Right.
it's a bit less strict. Than tier 3 is like the highest, where you can't go out. And you can't.
Yeah, we have those too in those states. Yeah, they're using those.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, they're using them in ours. They're just really, I guess, less restrictive. I mean, I know in a lot of the towns that I pass through in my state, in Arkansas, as well as down in Louisiana, they're not enforcing any. The business owners are refusing right at this juncture, and thankfully the county sheriffs aren't really, pressing that issue with these small businesses. Those local sheriffs know that, the law enforcement, that they can't push that with the business owners, because then it makes them a bully for the state, right? And for them to get elected, there's not a lot of businesses in small towns, right? And probably the same there in your more rural countryside, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were, because from where I'm from, like Midlands, there's a lot of countryside. I don't know if you, Danny, have the same, because you're still from Wakefield, aren't you?
Sorry, I just broke up there. I didn't even hear it. Sorry, I just broke up. Carry on. Sorry.
Well, Danny's over in Wakefield, I presume, still at the moment, where it's a bit more, lot more town central. So there's a lot more shops down there. I think that's why we're on a bit of a lower system, because there's not as much people down here. But yeah, it's not too strict. Not too strict.
Well, no, the thing with the UK at the moment is the north of England, pretty much all of us are in lockdown. We're in tier 3, which is the highest tier. But down south in, places like London are still open. They're not locking the place down. We all know that's why, because they're all politicians there.
Right.
And they know it's a lockdown.
Well, that's funny.
So,
But they're still arguing at the point that they think that London is like the highest spread of COVID-19, but they don't want to show shots because of fucking money. That's all it's about.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a fact. London has a higher infection rate than the north of England, and they're not in lockdown. I mean, that's fucked up.
Right, that is. And again, it's that hypocrisy that the working men and women see, and we're like, this is bullshit. Like, you're not even following your own rules, you fucking assholes.
Yeah, it's the politician scum, as we like to call them. Absolute scum.
Hey, well, fellas, look, I'm super stoked that you guys joined in on the broadcast today. What time is it there so that everybody knows?
It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, look at that. Got the fucking twins, Jason and Jay, or Danny and Jason.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, it'd be good to get back on. You know, these sort of subjects we like talking about.
we're gonna have you guys back on, man. I want you guys to be frequent callers now. If you would let your brother know, your fellow blokes over there, that this is going to be all shifting over to Patreon, right? So especially the conversations about how we're going to fix this, you know, and what we're going to be doing, let's say in our off time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like how do we rectify this as working men and women across this country on a global level, right? Because I'm tired of like us pretending that you guys don't have the same fucking problems in the UK that
honestly,
we got over
it's
here.
exactly the same. We're all in the same boat.
Germany, everywhere. Like we need people from Germany, Ireland, Japan, everywhere. This will be the biggest network of working men and women ever.
I used to work in France for a bit of time, so I've got a couple people over there who maybe could join, a couple £100 here or there, and we can get this going.
I love it, dude. Jason, hey, thanks again for calling in, man. I look forward to having you guys back on the broadcast. Sure. We're gonna take a 4 or 5 minute break. We're gonna play some music by our artist Nick Sky, the band Nick Sky. These guys are joining us as one of the very first band of this network. They were the first ones to reach out to us when we said, hey, we're looking for independent artists. So this applies to the UK too, France, anywhere else. We're looking for artists that are up and coming that just want their music getting out on a network and in a market. I just want to listen to their music and play their fucking music on our network. That's all I want to do. So it's just a no hassle exchange of they let us play their music. It gets broadcast for them. And we get to enjoy their music during our breaks and other material. So
fantastic,
cool. All right, fellas, we're out here, man. Let's go. Let's take a 4 or 5 minute break. Hit the head. Go to the John. Grab some more coffee. Grab a bowl. Whatever you got to do. I need some Fruity Pebbles, mother.
I don't have those. I'll have some granola.
Well, it's hard to see with all these flashing cameras in my face, but I love the way they play, throwing shadows on the stage. And I wonder where you are and what you think about this place. I can't help but miss those days, and I write on every page. My hero, she's the last real dreamer I know, and I could tell you all about her. I don't think I'll fall asleep till I roll over. Can we just start over again? And I could tell you all about her. I don't think I'll fall asleep till then. And now I just had this dream that we were on my bed again, making love the way we did. Tell me, how could I forget? This can't be healthy now, the way I dream about your lips. But this wasn't just any kiss. I hope you're still not over this, not at least till I get over you. My hero, she's the last real dreamer I know, and I could tell you all about her. I don't think I'll fall asleep till I roll over. Can't we just start over again? And I could tell you all about her. I don't think I'll fall asleep till then. And now I get left alone while you're lost in outer space, spreading love another way, and we'll meet again someday. I've taken all I can, but I keep thinking just the same. Guess I'll die another day, but I'm sure I'll be on my way. Maybe I'll collapse and float away. Please go.
And what a,
Oh, you have Ted Bundy's out there.
the horrific way that they call God.
She's the last real dreamer I know, and I could tell you all about her. I don't think I'll fall asleep till I roll over. Can we just start over again? And I could tell you all about her. I don't think I'll fall asleep.
Yeah, coming back. Lots of great conversation this morning. Fellas from the UK, man, check that shit out, right? Having a conversation about the design of our politics and actual public policy. And I had no idea that that some police agencies in the UK had tried body cams or live body cams. And you heard the questions that I posed there. And what I was really trying to get to is, could it have been corrupted in some way by the police or by the state who doesn't want their police live streaming their actions? And it's not the police. I don't blame the police officers. I blame the state's attorney, prosecuting attorney, and on up, right? I blame that echelon who feeds into the legislative branch that wrote these laws that the working man, right? That's what these police officers are, right? I don't give a shit what your feelings are. Most of them are working men and women that just want to feed their families, and they grew up in a tradition that their family's proud of, and they want to continue that tradition. You can't fault them for that, right? Many of them. Okay. So we got a couple other callers. We got some more guests coming on, and Big Mike, I believe. Mikey G. Speaking of the police, my man, 20 fucking years, city of New York. Look at this guy. Tell them who you are, Mike.
My name, excuse me. I'm recovering from COVID. I'm formerly an alienated father, somewhat with my little guy, and I'm a retired New York City police officer, 24 years from 1989 to 2013. And I'm listening to you guys talk about this body cam things. It's before my time, really. I don't know how I feel about it, but you wouldn't want to have a camera on me in the South Bronx or East New York. I could tell you that much.
I disagree, and here's why I disagree. Right? Here's why I disagree, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Is that ultimately, number one, our police, our legislators, they would become accustomed to it, right? Eventually, and here's the expectation. They want us to get accustomed to having fucking cameras on our street corners and traffic lights and everywhere else. They want us to be accustomed to having cameras in public monitoring every fucking move we make, everything that we do, but they fiercely resist having the same kind of transparency, right? And when law is now created that protects government and fucking not the people, that is tyranny that you're living in.
Well, that's not my generation. I came on in 1989. I didn't even have a beeper, and only the drug dealers had beepers.
Right. Old school. We need to get one so we could educate the young bucks what it used to look like from our generation.
Yeah, it's listen. I have so much feeling and emotion about it. And I was a street cop. Was a shop in the day. I came on and out to the day I left. And people don't necessarily understand the nature of what happens on the street, especially in a big municipality like New York City, and where there's such a diverse communities from one block to the next. And
right. We should see it because then Mike, everybody sees what you see, right? Then everybody begins to
You're
understand.
not going to like the way we have to respond to these things. Let me tell you something.
No,
It's very
they're not. Right.
I don't believe our society, especially, are ready for the reality of what is occurring on their streets.
Well, here's the thing.
There's going to be a sense of denial on their part. They're going to hold me as a cop, and I was a union delegate too. I would be telling my cops in my squad or whatever. I'm telling them, listen, do as little as possible. Don't go out of your way. Answer your jobs. Give a proper disposition. Show that you're 84, that you got on the scene in a proper time, and call the boss for everything.
Right.
That's the problem you're going to have now across the country. Is cops are just going to back off.
There you go. But that's the right answer, though. Hold on. But that's the right answer. Look. And here's why. That's why this is the right answer, right? That government isn't the solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is the conflict between police and between our citizens is that our legislative branch they're passing laws and statutes, and they are forcing a negative interaction between the police and the citizen who didn't harm someone. Okay, so when you're doing 8 over, right, and they pull you over, and maybe they don't want to issue, your traffic citation, right? Because we have a lot of police discretion, and police do a lot of great things. I've seen it. Some of my best friends are police officers. I do ride-alongs with them still, so I can see how they operate.
Mm-hmm.
I stay very much involved so that I have a firsthand perspective from police officers, because I don't want to speak illy of an entire group of people when I know full well there's great men and women serving our communities, and they're doing good things, but people don't understand what we're asking of our police. We need to bring the fact back. People need to see that police officers have a very difficult fucking job, and it's ugly. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. Now, I'm not saying it should be like a publicly broadcast where kids could see it and shit, right? But nonetheless, it should be live streamed. People need to see the harsh reality of the bullshit you guys got to put up with, and it's going to make us rethink sending somebody in with a fucking gun to take some weed from a college kid, or pull somebody in on a fucking child support warrant, right? We're going to really reframe and rethink that, because we'll see we're setting our police up for failure, and we're setting up our citizens up for failure. People need to see the harsh reality. I think, Mike.
The police have no discretion when it comes to things like that.
Right.
But they're the first ones to get blamed. Why the cops do it?
They have full discretion, like issuing a ticket or something.
I keep hearing this nonsense from people in the so-called movement of family, reform and all this stuff. Why didn't the cop do nothing when the mom didn't give the kid for visitation? I've been in that situation as a civilian with cops here in the county I live in, and they're the highest paid in the country.
Right.
Suffolk County, New York, highest paid police officers in the country.
How much do they make?
Over 150. We're talking 200 with overtime easy.
Jesus Christ. Police officers in Suffolk County, you're saying right now live on the air that in Suffolk County, police officers make over 200,000 with overtime and shit.
And they don't work for the people. They don't serve the people. They serve the politicians.
Hey, that's a huge assertion by a fucking 24-year NYPD veteran.
I've gotten into more arguments with them, and they used to get upset with me because I wouldn't kowtow to them. I would just, I would be like, who do you think you're talking to? You're not talking to an idiot. I probably have more collars in 2 years than you have in your career so far. So do me a favor,
They would talk to you like you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like you're stupid. Like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And
there's nothing you can do. There's certain things you have no discretion over, and you have to, hopefully you're not, you're a decent human being, and you could articulate to people, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I don't have a choice. You either come with me, or if it goes bad, it goes bad. And I've had that situation happen to me.
What they've done is they've stripped away they've effectively stripped away the humanity of the police officer by not allowing a human being to exercise good moral principled judgment on a situation, and instead they have a mandate. Now think about that mandate, right? And I agree with you, and this is where I defend our police officers. I'm like, these are working men and women that have bills to fucking pay, right? They've got kids in schools, they've got wives or husbands at home, they've got families they want to take care of. Many of them were born into this. They didn't get a choice. They were born into it. They grew up around it. The police officers are a very proud community, and rightfully so, because they come from the fucking working class. Police are not the enemy. The enemy is the laws that we're forcing police to enforce. We force the police to enforce this by holding over their fucking head. If you don't do this, you're not going to be able to continue that proud tradition that your father or your mother did. You're not going to be able to earn a paycheck in what you've dreamed of doing since you were a child. They use that, they weaponize that knowledge against fucking police, and thereby police are coerced into choosing of, you know, do I really pursue my heart's passion and my dream of being a police officer, or do I enforce all of this bullshit that I know is fucking bullshit?
You know, we're a part of the human race. Well,
Right.
And
Right.
very-
People need to see the humanity.
we're very fallible.
Yeah.
We respond to jobs where, you know, at least we try to do the best we can. And most people, unfortunately, in this society that we live in, it's about, you know, everybody wants somebody else to do it for them. You know, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I used to tell people all the time, you know,
Right.
where we're useless, we show up on a job. I said, well, why did you call 911? Why'd you call me here?
Right.
Handle
Yeah.
it yourself. Handle it
Yeah.
yourself. I used to get reprimanded for doing that. I used to tell, you know, my bosses would come to me, so you can't talk to these people like that. I said, well, why not? It's reality here, man.
It's reality. Tell them the fucking truth.
You know what I mean?
Right. You guys got to be so politically correct. If we allowed humanity to
We
play
don't
out,
have-
it
we don't-
should.
We don't have that anymore. The
Yeah.
quality of discretion, we don't have the quality of police officers coming on the jobs anymore. They're robots. It's all about control and separating you from your property. This whole thing of the summons.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Again, the
I've been
working
saying
class, right?
I've been saying this forever. It's
We're
all
the serfs.
about
We go out,
control.
build our labor, and they take it away from us. They fucking snatch it.
I didn't go in the ranks anywhere because I did have a problem issuing tickets. You know, I was always, you know, I was a good cop on the street. You know, if they wanted
You're
somebody
like me.
to show up on a job, on a heavy job, they wanted me to go. But when it came down at the end of the month, the sergeant's looking for his tags. You know, I'm at the minimum.
Right.
And I hated giving tickets. You know, I thought it was like, you know, what am I doing this there? You know, it took me 10 times to stop somebody to give a ticket because either grandma was crying, oh, I'm on my way to work. Oh my God. Stop sign.
Yeah, well, we weren't fucking around with these people, the working class, just trying to get their ass to work, and they probably were. You know, I mean, if we hadn't been, look, it's taken decades to build up the resentment towards police officers.
Yeah.
There was a need, and there has been a need to have people in our communities that we can identify when we're in fucking distress, right? Because cops are always, you know, crime is a reactive approach, right? It's not a proactive approach of prevention. It's a reactive service. And if instead, you know, we are getting to the root causes of why is Cash Jackson sitting over there smoking a fucking bowl? I don't know. He's got depression. Well, why is Cash Jackson sad? Why does he have depression? Well, he hasn't seen his kid in 2 years. Well, that sounds pretty fucking inhumane. I would smoke pot too if I was in his position. And we get to the root causes and fix shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in.
Police are not the enemy, right? Police are not the enemy.
They're not the enemy, but everything's been incentivized. We talk about the, you know, Title 4D and the federal government supplying the states and the treasury with funds for collecting child support. It's the same thing with tickets. The states get federal grant money to do red light overtime. They'll sign a guy an 8-hour tour to red light tickets.
Y'all listen to that shit. This is from a 24-year fucking.
Listen, and it's not only that.
New York police officer veteran.
They'd have checkpoints to check for certain things.
They put on there who he is so that people know who the fuck they're talking to.
And this is still going on.
We're veterans, man. We're fucking. This is the Veteran Liberty Network, right? We're telling you, this is how the shit is. This is how it really is, and nobody's telling you.
You know, and it's disgusting. You know what I mean? But I got to tell you, as a young cop, when I was struggling, I'd pick up an 8-hour block because I needed to eat and provide for. I had child support at that time too. You know what I mean? And I never liked it. You know what I mean? I struggled with it a lot of times. That 8 hours wasn't easy for me. But you have people all over the place that are so high conflict. They would give a ticket to their mother.
Yeah,
We have guys,
assholes.
and listen, and the commands and the precincts all across the country, they pick out who these guys are, and these are the guys that every command in New York City has at least four summons guys. That's all they do. And you know how they incentivize them? They gave them weekends off, steady tours, weekends off. They're not on the chart. They're not rotating around. They're not. Their days off on 3 on 2 off, 3 on 2 off, 3 on 3 off. You know what I mean? They become all the precincts in New York City are rated on summonses first. Forget about taking a bad guy off the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I worked in the Bronx. I had a gun collar. I flew to another command. I got a gun arrest one night. You want to know what? The summons guy in my command got an award. I got a letter in the file for taking a gun off the street. I mean, it's like I stopped writing shit up. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
What am I going to write this up for?
It's
You know what I
stupid.
mean? And
Exactly.
I wasted
And the working man
I had
responds.
to
Like, this
write
is
it up.
stupid.
Boss didn't write it up. I had to write it up. It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
And that causes more conflict. That right there causes more conflict for you because now you're antagonized. And that, as a human being, you're antagonized. You're like, this is fucking stupid. Right? And then you take that into the street with you.
on
Right.
the job.
Yeah.
There it is.
And you got people though that are going, well, you know, you knew that going into that profession and you've got to control your emotions and da 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 da. Look, these people chose this profession, okay? But we're deciding as citizens, we're deciding the public policy we're going to have you guys enforce. And if we're not intelligent enough to say, we shouldn't make your job harder because number one, if we create public policy that makes your job harder as a police officer, that means I don't truly care about you as a police officer. That means I'm placing your life at risk by developing policy I'm going to make you enforce using the welfare of your family as kind of that veiled threat by taking your job from you or denying you career promotions if you don't toe the line.
You know, I hated that higher standard stuff. I've had my guns taken from me because the ex-wife called on me, made a complaint, you know what I mean? And I couldn't work. I don't know why I'm thinking all this stuff, but it's we live in a very, very sick society right now, very sick. And the only way we're gonna get anywhere is we're gonna have to just stop cooperating, and people are just gonna have to grab.
Thank you for sharing.
They have to grab their nuts and start asserting their voice.
You said it. You fucking said it, and it wasn't even planned out. And I had that sitting on the table. They got to be a big balls Billy, man. They gotta have balls.
And I'm sorry to say, but most people in our society, I heard you say that. You know, I think a lot of us. I woke up post NYPD. Here I was a cop for 24 years. Had all this law stuff. Had law bulletins, and I learned more about law post NYPD. About my rights, and my unalienable rights, my liberties, and it wasn't until the failures in the court system with trying to fight to be a dad that I realized what I had to do, and it was up to me. Nobody else but me. I had to go in there by myself. When they told me I need a lawyer, I would tell them go pound sand. But I didn't say it like that. I would tell them go pound sand. I'm not doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's when shit started to happen for me. Now I'm in a good position. I have a business with my son. I speak to my other son, but not as much as I like. He's 15. He's still under his mother's wing. She's an extremely high conflict, evil individual.
And we don't call them out and talk about them, right? Because that's unhealthy.
I don't believe in that either.
You know what that is? You know what this amounts to, right? And I disagree.
You have to talk about them. You have to put them down because they are the problem. They are the source of the problem.
You identify the
That
source of
being
the
nice
fucking
bullshit
problem.
doesn't fly with me.
Yeah, and because society's going, well, you two need to work it out, motherfucker. I'm trying to, but if I can't see my kids, how am I to work anything out? If she refuses to communicate at all, zero communication. The mother of my children refuses outright any communication. She won't answer any fucking messages. It's one-sided. They put all of the power in one person's hands and say, fuck the rest of us, suffer and die. Sir.
I hate to say it, but you know what I mean? I had to say this in court a couple of times. I told the judges and I told the magistrates, I said, listen, something happens to my children while I don't see them, I'm going to come after people.
Yeah.
And I would say it assertively.
Yeah.
I'm going to come after people. Now, I'm not threatening anybody.
Yeah.
Then they would look at me like, are you talking
me?
about self-helping yourself, Mr. Gilling? I said, well, there's nothing illegal about that. And the bottom line is that this is my property. You're trying to, keep me from it. And I'll certainly approach this lawfully, of course, lawfully. But I'd give them a face like, People
don't understand the context of that, right? When you say my property, they don't, we don't view children as property. We view them as a creation, a divine creation that nature or God intended that we were equally involved with. And therefore, that creation, the production of that creation involves solely you and the mother of your kids, not the fucking state. The state will never, ever, in my opinion, will never be the supreme parent. This parents patria shit I'm going to exercise. We have that judge on fucking video from whenever I live streamed his ass. Another one of the, I'm going to get me a criminal contempt charge thrown at me. Live streamed his ass and got him saying it. I'm exercising my authority through parents patria and basically asserting my supreme dominance as the supreme parent on behalf of the state. Fuck you, asshole. No, you're not.
Well, this is, most of us go into court and they fail to recognize who they are. I am the beneficiary of a state constitution and the constitution of the nation. You say this in court. I've said this in court a few times and people got nervous. I didn't really pick up on it at first, but when you start saying stuff like that, because they act outside the Constitution and your unalienable rights, you have to tell them you're standing on the Constitution of the state that you're in the court you're before, and the Constitution of the nation. That's it. And then you tell them, I'm before the court pro se. Forget about the attorneys, man. They're useless. They're officers.
That's what I say. Divest. Right. Something that the political left does really well.
Yeah.
And I saw the description of Standing Rock. Divest from these industries. Right. They're right about that. Right. And these are the working men and women. Okay. When we're pitted against one another, the goal is to pit those of us that we identify as more conservative or right leaning, or those of us who identify more as left leaning. Okay. Whatever your political paradigm, they drive the division between us. And I want the same thing as what Native Americans want in Standing Rock. I want the same thing. I want for my family to be able to live and to thrive and not just get by. But they're driving the division between the working class of us. And that's how they maintain control.
Yeah. I've learned a lot of stuff in the last few years. I've done a lot of reading, and there's one particular area that if people really took control for themselves, we could cause havoc in this country. But I'm not going to talk about it right now because you'll say I'm crazy. But
at this juncture, seeing that we've lived underneath this kind of shit for fucking 40, 50 years and we still haven't fixed it, this is the civil rights movement of our era. Right?
Yeah, it has to do with the income tax. I don't know if you believe in the income tax.
No, it's fucking immoral to take a man.
Have you read the tax code?
I would be lying if I said yes.
I have. I got involved in a group, school called Freedom Law School. I got some education in my rights. I learned about income tax, treasury decisions, and all this stuff. Okay. Do you know that 98% of the country is not liable to the income tax? And that there's only 3 to pay the income tax.
You're going to have to say that again, man. You're going to have to say that again because 'Cause the Fed-
98% of the people in this country are not liable to pay the income tax
based on what?
based on the law. When you file a 1040 on April 15th, you're basically committing a crime, because there's only 3 types of persons that are required to file a 1040: government employees, non-resident aliens with American-sourced income, and Americans abroad making money abroad. That's
Okay.
it. But you have to, and I'm saying this to you, but you have to read the code.
Okay, well, we can get the code. So if we take what you stated there,
I could send it to you. I mean, I could refer.
no, I don't want you to send it to me. I want people who are listening and watching this
Well, people will throw
to
this.
take some initiative. I want them to take some initiative and start looking shit up on their own. I want them to actually learn something.
You know, I mean, I did this whole thing. I redressed grievances with Schumer, Gillibrand, and Peter King in regards to this. You know, and I sent them the evidence, the information, the law as it's written in the code. And you want to know what kind of? I figured it would be easy for them to tell me I was wrong and show me the law. And you know what happened, Cash? Crickets. Nothing. So what does that mean? What does that mean? You can't. People who make the laws can't tell me. Somebody they're representing in legislative session where they make the laws, they can't tell me what the law is. You couldn't tell me what the law is. There is none, because there is none. We've been fooled since 1913, especially during World War II, when they implemented the victory tax to pay for World War II. You know what I mean? That's what it was for. But you want to know what happened after World War II? Yeah, the slicksters in government, FDR and all them high conflict dudes, they kept it going.
Right.
And they made it a norm. And because really, it's only 3 types of people, and we've been brought into this. I hate talking about it because you get into arguments with people. They tell me that I'm not paying my share, and I say, "Fuck you, pay my share." If I'm not liable, and if you're not liable, because technically, you know, when you sign the 1040, you're basically signing your rights away.
Right.
You're waiving your Fifth Amendment right.
Okay.
You're giving the government all the information they need about you.
I don't deny. I don't deny that.
You know what I mean? I want to know why 52% of the country is not paying income tax. That's according to the IRS. Explain this to me. It was those kind of facts that got me to look into it and really, because you want to know why? You know what sparked it was the violation of my rights in court.
Right. Fuck yeah. That's what lit me off.
It expanded to other areas. And I took the time to do the research, go into the school. I got material. I read it. There's a book I'm reading now, a guy by the name of Dave Champion, called Income Tax Shattering the Myth. You want to be blown away? Read this book, and you'll find yourself saying to yourself,
maybe we can get him on the air. Mike, would you be willing to reach out to him on our behalf? Right? You're 27 years.
He has his own podcast, and he's a pretty flamboyant guy. He's got his podcast is Dr. Reality on YouTube.
Okay.
Dr. Reality.
All right.
And, he does a lot of work on this COVID thing, and he's big on rights. He's the type of guy that he doesn't show his receipt on the way out of Costco. They chased him into the parking lot. You know?
I love these type of people, man. These are the best personalities that do offhanded shit like that.
Yeah, he put a video up about that. I laughed my ass off. It says
we are resistive to a fucking fault because it complicates our life. Like, we know that's the fucked up thing about having like our type of personality is it's like we know these are wrong, these are injustices, and we don't mind saying fuck you, to the people that are doing it, because somebody has to. Why aren't you saying, like, why would you let them do this to you? Why would you let them walk on you? Right? There's nothing honorable about what they're doing to you. I'm not going to stand for them. I'm not going to do anything for Not doing it. I will not jump to their tune. They can issue bench warrants for me all fucking day. I hope I get 1 million bench warrants from Lake County, Illinois. It's going to be my. In fact, I'm doing fucking about a zillion.
Let me throw this fantasy at you. If you've got enough people in this movement, to
Hold on with the audio. Hold on a second, Mike. We're having some issues there with the audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, do you hear that, CJ? Did y'all hear that?
Yeah, it's the government. They're fucking you.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
They heard me.
I don't doubt it.
They heard me.
They got two fucking. They have. How many years did you do, Mike?
24.
They have. Right here is 44 years of networking veteran experience. Right here, CJ, get your ass on here. How many years did you do?
I only contribute 4 to this.
Don't you fucking ever say only or apologize for only your 4, you fucking devil dog. That's 48. Get Jason on here. How many years did you do?
Oh, only a lowly 8.5 after I sold my business.
So 56.5 years, if I did my math correctly while stoned, 56.5 years of military veterans sitting here talking about and illustrating the same bullshit we've all seen in the police and in the fucking military and what we see today as citizens in this country. Right? That's a lot of experience. I think that should fucking count for something, right?
Yeah, it should, but it also uses against us, like, you know,
Weaponized.
Better believe it, man.
Weaponized. Right.
Hey, Michael, you mind if I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
All right. Now, this is for I don't want to say we have any simpletons watching us, but for the simpletons in the group, because there's always one or two, can you explain to the listeners what happens to a police officer that does not follow orders about enforcing laws that are on the books that have been deemed to be lawful orders because the laws are on the books passed by city councils, even though you might not think that it's a law that you should be enforcing? What happens to you as an officer if you do not enforce that law and they find out?
Well, listen, there's 2 different scenarios there. I mean, because I could share some experience with you where, hey, listen, I've applied discretion to the extent where, you know, see you later, alligator. But if I'm on an assignment and the bosses know about it and I don't take action the way they wanted me to, yeah, I could get suspended. I could, you know, get sent home without pay, suspended without pay, all kinds of things. You know, take vacation days where I could go to the trial room and put me on trial. You know, but it all depends upon the circumstance. You'd have to give me an example of a scenario or something. You know what I mean? You know, but I come from an era where I used to go to roll call, and the sergeants were very specific with the guys that are going out, especially on a midnight tour. He would tell you to your face, listen, you better have a good reason to call me to your job. It better be somebody going to jail. Don't call me otherwise. You are your own boss. That's not the way it is today. You got to call a boss for, you know, a jaywalker. No, Sarge, you know, making 85 me for the jaywalker, you know, and it's you know. But if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you could be fired. You could be fired. That's the worst that could happen to you, or you get suspended. You get vacation days taken from you. But it all depends upon what you're talking about and the nature of the scenario.
Yes, sir. My dad was a police officer back when I was a wee one. I was about as old as my youngest son. And he was driven off the Albert Lea Police Department in Albert Lea, Minnesota, because he kept giving the mayor's kid DUIs and was told to stop. So he figured out real quick, fast, and in a hurry that, you know, there's a good old boy club in politics. You know, but I just want the listeners to understand that there is a line in law enforcement. You got to toe the line to an extent.
You want to hear a funny story?
Yes, sir. I love funny stories.
Partner and I had a job one time on the edge of our command, involving the press. This is a good one. A cameraman and some other guy. And they had a designated spot that the city declared for them. And the restaurant on the corner had moved some of the cafe tables out onto the street to wash them. You know, the van wasn't there. So they called us over to make the restaurant owner move his tables. And they couldn't work it out themselves somehow. So when I got there, I found out from the restaurant owner that the guys in the press were being entitled, you know, and being rude. So I told the guy in the press, I told the guys in the press and the cameraman, listen, I said, I spoke to the guy. He says he knows he's wrong. He says that he must have had some kind of dispute, some words here. He says he's going to have his guys move his stuff off the street. He's going to do it, you know, he's in the process of doing it now. He needs to do it right away. He's telling me, like, you know, like I'm his boss, like he's my boss. I said, excuse me. I said, he is moving it. It's going to take some time. You're going to need to be patient. That's this, that, and the other thing. Now I'm looking at his van the whole time, which is double parked now. And I'm trying to cooperate with these guys. Well, it gets to the point where this guy is such a rude. Like, I tell him, listen, you're going to get a tag for double parking now. Move your van, go around the block. By the time you come back around, you'll have your spot. Move now. And then they started filming us, doing all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like, oh, here we go. My partner's going to me, Mike, we're going to make the news tonight, aren't we? I says, so what? I don't care for what. Parking's fine. And, well, it got back to the command. These guys in the press have a liaison at One Police Plaza, and big boss down there called my captain, and we got called into the office, me and my partner, and they wanted me to go down and apologize to this reporter downtown without in the department, without due process. I was a delegate at the time, and I told my captain, I said, we're not doing that, Cap. I said, without a proper notification to go down there, I'm not going. I'm not going. And, you know, if I have to call a trustee or the union to come and get involved, I said, this is, this guy was out of line. We handled the job. Why is it going to this extent? I don't understand. You know what I mean? Because somebody had a contract downtown, and how dare we talk to them like this? But I butted heads against the administration, and I won. Only because I was a union delegate, you know. And but this is the kind of nonsense that goes on. You know what I mean? You know, any other cop, they would have been forced to go down to apologize, and then probably get flown every day, which means that they lose their seat for whatever sector they were working in. They'd be flying into other details, you know. But that's just the way it is, you know. But you know, I was in a position, I asserted my nuts, you know, sometimes, and in this case it worked to my advantage. Sometimes it didn't, but in this case it did.
Yeah, more people need to do that, in my opinion, need to stand up, grab their nuts, and, you know,
well, not only
be
that,
an
but
immovable wall. You know, you don't have...
I'll never forget the face on my captain.
Go ahead.
The face on my captain, he was just like, Mike, are you really going to do this to me? This deputy inspector now is breaking his balls. And I told him, I'm sorry about that, but this is, you know, we're big boys here. You know what I mean? You know, unless he's gonna file a complaint and conduct a standard investigation against me and notify me properly, which would be a week away.
Uh-oh.
I'm not doing nothing.
Still there, CJ?
Yeah, I still hear you, Jason. Hey guys, we're gonna take a quick break while Cash refills his coffee here. We'll bring you guys back on right after this break here. Yeah, Jason, go ahead and refresh. Mike, we'll bring you guys right back on when Cash gets back here.
Look forward to it.
All right, so Cash will be right back, guys. He asked me to step in for a moment, so I'm just going to go ahead and plug the Patreon. Thank you to the 2 new patrons that have joined while we are live this morning. Thank you so much. You can help support this broadcast by going to patreon.com/Cash Jackson and helping support us monthly. It's, you know, Cash doesn't actually make any money on this for the network through Patreon, unless he interacts with you, the patron. So it kind of is a digital assistant to help him, you know, maintain that, you know, communication with you, as well as you'll be included into our Telegram chat that we're organizing, so that way we can direct all our communications away from the other social medias. It's a really great app. You can connect with everybody in the show, Mama Jackson, myself, Cash, Morena, everybody that he builds to the core team. And you can be a part of that by just going to patreon.com/Cash Jackson and being a part of that. We're going to be networking with artists all over, and hopefully we can find more to join, like Nick Sky, who is, gracious enough to let us use his music for moments like this when we just need a break and we want to promote some good music. So go ahead and check out our boy Nick Sky. Oh, yep.
Remember the times when everything seemed so easy, how we didn't know how close we were to losing it all, and we were content with what we had, even though these memories would be quick to fall. Before we were supposed to keep us safe, would suffocate us slowly once we were happy. We were happy before we grew. We were happy with nothing in our hands. So there was simple love and there was nothing we could understand. A sense lost inside like falling grains of sand, leaving us to wonder, where did it all come wrong? Have done better? Is that something that we did wrong? For us to feel left to raise ourselves without someone to lean on. Is it the fault of generations present or past? Was there any peace, and if there was, could it last? Before we were supposed to keep us safe, would suffocate us slowly once we were happy. We were happy before we grew. We were happy with nothing in our hands. So there was simple love and there was nothing we could understand. A sense lost inside like falling grains of sand, leaving us to wonder, where did it all go wrong? Life was simple now before the masses changed the chaos recipe. Before we got inside our heads and changed our chemistry. Before we knew about the danger lurking beneath the surface. Before we learned our lives and purpose. Before we had
All right, Cash. Everybody's watching you eat breakfast this morning. You're muted. Again, check out Nick Sky on out there. He's helping us out with Veteran Liberty Network. Cash, you gotta unmute yourself. Or not.
we were happy before we grew. We were happy with nothing.
I'm so fucking happy that we have music live on the air, and we didn't have to pay shit for it. I didn't pay nothing for it. Nick Sky, this fucking band Nick Sky reaches out. Hey man, we'd like for you to play our music. Awesome. I advertise their music and listen to their music. Look at that, a working man free market solution. Boom. I didn't need a fucking Harvard degree to think of that. I'm gonna change podcasting forever. As far as I know, I did it first because I don't know anybody else that's doing it. Big Mike and Jason, man, what's up?
Not much.
I'm finally back. Good Lord.
Shut the hell up. I was having a discussion with my fucking brother. Shut up.
No. I said I'm finally back. My phone went all kinds of ape shit. The wife tried calling.
My bad. My bad. I was getting cereal and talking to my brother. I got some.
You were gone. You had something to do. We were rocking right along.
Yeah. Hey, that's what I said. Hey.
Me and Mike were having us a good time.
Man.
We were conversating, and then all of a sudden everything went ape shit, and I lost everybody.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, a country question?
Yeah.
What I'm looking to get a pair of overalls for when I work with my son in car detailing. What kind of overalls should I get?
That's a great question. I love these. I think it's called Key. Is that what that says? Key? Huh? Yeah. I have to look these guys up, man.
Get you
What's
some
that?
Oshkosh.
This is my first pair ever. Well, I mean, I have
Get you
hunting
some
ones.
old school Oshkosh.
No, I like these, man. Key. That's what they're called. Key
Yeah.
coveralls, I guess.
Yeah, I think I like that idea when I car detail with my son.
Right.
You know,
I'll tell you what. You'll see these all over the country.
Yes, crack don't get exposed.
Right. Hey, man, we can preserve some of our dignity. Damn it. Okay, maybe just a little. Right. I know that we let out gases out of various orifices.
I'm 50
at the
years
most
old,
inappropriate times. But
getting down on my knees is to detail tires.
Whoa! You could have stopped with the getting down on your knees.
Okay,
I don't know what they do
detailing
in NYPD, okay? But I'm trying to break down that stereotype on behalf of the sailor community.
Listen, man, I worked in Chelsea for 10 years.
You sailors are going to be working for a long time to get rid of that one.
yeah, I've got a lot of work to undo. I don't know what those bastards were doing. Fuck, what's that song? CJ, what's that stupid song? The is it the YMCA song? Is that it?
Yeah.
Who sings
It's Raining Men is your guys' theme song. Come on now.
And there's nothing I can do about that full frontal assault. Thanks, Jason.
It's all good. So what do we want to talk about now?
Oh. So I was debating off screen with my brother. He said, he came over, he brought me a fucking Bud Light and some Captain Crunch. And he said, he said, I got to disagree with you on these police being live streamed. So he was actually taking the defense of the police here and says, I think it would place our police at greater risk by people knowing their positions. And I considered it for a moment, and he's right. So if they're, say, in a building or something to that effect, maybe they're on hot pursuit and somebody's telling them where the police are, they can see for themselves where the police are. But my rebuttal was that, well, it's already not hard to find a police officer. Like, if you want to find a police officer, it ain't fucking hard. I mean, you can find them. And if somebody with malice and the intent to seek out and kill a police officer, you're not going to deter that simply for them having a body cam. You're not going to invite that more, I don't believe, because now I think, conversely, that it's protecting the police, because now the police officer knows he's got 1,000 people on his feed watching him. He knows he's got 1,000 people that can, and I'll play devil's advocate here, they can either still side with the accused, or they could side with the police, right? The way it is right now is we're basically forced into this decision making process of, it's politicized. Do I defend the police or don't I? Right? What we have to have is a human interaction. People need to see the difficult situations that arise for a police officer, so they themselves can then begin developing, oh fuck, I didn't realize that they dealt with that kind of shit. And then it starts the public's mind to go in how difficult this job is, and then we begin to reconsider the policies that places them in those negative interactions. If people know police are here to defend me from violent people and my property, or to investigate if it happens, that's the proper role of the police, in my opinion. Not to fucking tell people you can't smoke that.
Yeah, but you're gonna run into all kinds of situations where 911 is just, everybody calls 911. The cat's in the tree, the stupidest things. You're gonna have people in New York City, and I mean, the nonsense, the smell of drugs coming from the apartment next door. Somebody's allergic on the.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're gonna have to. What are you gonna do?
But you know what that
And,
does? You know,
uh,
lack of government involvement will also drive innovation, because some motherfucker will get mad about it and come up with a solution. They'll go, you know what, this is bullshit. Just like me and getting my shows kicked off because I played some Leonard Skinner or Metallica on here, or some Wu-Tang Clan. I love fucking slapping some Wu-Tang on them. And they delete my shows. So I get angry because I want to play music, like for an intermission or when I want to. I knew it would happen, right? I didn't do it without knowing. I think the general public knows you can't use any type of music or media without permission, right? Well, what do? Hey, I need I need people who have music that'd like to contribute to the show, and we get their fucking music. We advertise their music, up and coming artists or just independent people, and in exchange, I get to listen to their music and not be interfered with. Look, this was a free market solution by the working class. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to play music one way or another, and I could be playing Leonard Skinner's and Metallica's and Wu-Tang's, but due to licensing restrictions and me being a serf in the fucking working class people, I don't have the money to buy all that shit. So, yeah, helping out my folks.
Well,
Seriously.
the only problem I see you're going to run into, Cash, is you're not going to have people like me that have an issue with live streaming police officers' body cameras. You're not, because I like shows like Live PD and such like that, because it does show what an officer goes through on a nightly basis. However, you get those on the left, but that love to scream and cry that all it does is show people at their worst possible moments in their life dealing with police officers, and it winds up getting squashed immediately.
Our domestic
You know what I'm
policy
saying?
fucks up our population. Look, we do it to ourselves. Our domestic policy fucks up our populace, right? We know this.
Mm-hmm.
They drive fathers out of the picture. It's incentivized. It's a known across this country as a dad. If you walk into a law office and go, I want equal custody, we should do an experiment. Take 10 law offices in your county, walk in and say, yeah, I'm getting a divorce. I've got 2 children and I would like to get equal custody, please. And just see what happens. I hypothesize you get laughed out of their fucking office.
You want
That's what I think.
You want to hear something? I'm not going to name his name, but I had somebody I helped. He's active on the police department, and he's basically getting 50-50. But the way they structured it here in New York is they're still classifying a custodial and non-custodial. He still has to pay child support.
Still has to pay child support and has equal custody.
And
he's a police officer, right? He's a police officer. Why are the police who are getting fucked, right? People want to know this. I know the answer, right? I want to hear it from you. Why do the police enforce these child support warrants? Or why do they enforce this shit that we know is stupid? Because they're getting fucked by the same system, just like that guy, that police officer with equal custody, still paying child support simply because they said he's non-custodial. Bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Let's just say it. That's fucking bullshit.
Oh, it's bullshit. I told him he's got to fight it a certain way.
They have to resist, and they have to get their departments involved. As men, working men, we have to say enough is enough, and we have to hold. If my superior says, "Hey, I love you and I'm about you," right? Police chief, okay, sheriff, we need to have a discussion about this. Okay, this is fucking bullshit. What are you saying? We got another caller? What you saying? Oh, my bad. CJ's saying we got somebody else. Let's bring him in.
What's up,
Hey,
Sean?
what's up, Cash? How you doing, guys?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good, man. How are you guys doing?
I'm fantastic, man. Enjoying my Captain Crunch. Off
Heck
brand.
yeah, dude. So, I've been watching since pretty much the start of the show. So you guys covered a lot of ground on a bunch of stuff. And I was hoping to get in while you guys were talking about the DCMA stuff, playing the music and all that stuff. But so I don't want to backtrack in unless it's okay.
No, whatever you want, Brand.
So one of the things that I think that we're not educating anybody on anymore is what law actually was intended for at the very beginning, and it was over property rights. So like my house is my property. You know, my car is my property. Anything that I produce is my property. Anything that I produce for the public is still my property until it's sold. So, what is happening is, you know, like Sony, like so. As like kind of a half-assed gamer, the new Cyberpunk 2077 just came out, and there's a lot of there was a lot of there was a lot of gamers that were live streaming the Cyberpunk 2077 with a lot of music on it. So what happened is they got DCMA'd because they were playing music on their channel, even though it was in the game. So but it's property. It's owned by the musician and their label. So without, like you said, having to fill out all the paperwork and stuff like that to get permission to use that music. Exactly. So, and there's a reason why it's done that way, and it's to protect property, and that's what the law is intended for. So, and that, I think that was one of the big things why, you know, during the women's movement and stuff like that, and now we have with children and stuff like that is, you know, back in the day, women and kids were considered property. So how do you I don't want to say screw, how do you differentiate custodial versus non-custodial while you separate the fact that women and children are no longer property? So now you create a system where the law can be used against your property, even though it's not your property anymore. It goes the other way. You know, a wife's husband is her property. A wife's children are her property. So what they did was they separated that. So that way, women's property is still her children. Women's property is still her body. So the law is supposed to protect that, but they do it in a way that separates out the fact that the wife and children are no longer the husband's property, but the other way around, it still is the wife's property.
Right.
So that's why a lot of
because you're working and still providing for them. You're paying for 100% of your new home plus whatever percent of their home. So
correct.
That's a disparity that nobody talks about, that the non-custodial, aka 85% of the time as fathers, is that they're providing 100% for another home of equal size that the mother is doing. And we can't do simple math and go, look, we've got an significant increase in liabilities. The incomes of the two parties did not increase, but what did increase was adding a whole nother mortgage or rent and utilities and home. The single most expensive expense for the American working family is a home. And now those same two parties, somebody now has to pay for 100% of one home and a large percent of the other. And that's where they are demoralizing and dehumanizing and not considering the fact that all these fathers out there are back at home at 40 years old living with their fucking parents. And that's just demoralizing and bullshit. Right? You destroy a man's self-identity and self-respect by doing that to him.
Exactly right, Stephen. I did see.
Yeah, so then you have something like, so and going back to now you have this COVID thing happening where a lot of people got laid off. A lot of people lost their jobs because they closed down small business. So now you have a father possibly who doesn't have a job anymore, who has to pay for two households essentially now because he's got to pay child support to the ex. He's got to take care of his own bills. And now he can't afford to do both. So now you have that the suicide rate has gone up tremendously over the last few months because they're not letting, small business owners who employ a majority of the population work because we allow the government to make decisions for us now.
Right. We kept asking for it.
Kept
asking for it. And that's what we shot ourselves in the fucking foot.
Shut down the bars, shut down the restaurants. Exactly. Shut down the restaurants, shut down the bars.
But leave the liquor stores open. Leave the cannabis stores. I'm very pro cannabis. Okay, but I'm not pro protecting one industry over another. I'm not for that. That is anti-liberty.
Well, Yeah, and I think that's the problem is our Constitution and real capitalism was before 1932. We had a laissez-faire system, so there was no government intervention in any business. So you could start a business at any time without having to file for permits and all of this stuff. And if your business sucked, you went out of business. If your business thrived, you continue to grow. And that's one of the problems that we see now with the government getting involved with this entire thing is, you know, a business licensing. If you want to cut somebody's hair, like if I want to cut my buddy's hair and somebody finds out that I'm doing it, I could get, you know, I could get a ticket for, you know what I'm saying? Like the old school barracks haircuts. You know what I'm saying?
So, hey, you want to give me a haircut? I'll come to your place, right? If the patrons want to see that in action, we'll challenge that law. We'll
a perfect example of this, though, is if a police officer happens to drive by while I'm cutting their hair,
we'll call him.
He's obligated under the law.
We'll call
exactly. He's obligated under the law, like you guys were talking about earlier, to write me a citation for doing something without a license. We see this all the time with little kids with lemonade stands who don't have a license to sell lemonade on the street corner like you used to when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Like
any police officer that issued that should get a boot in the ass by a sergeant, right? By his field training officer. But that's what he should require.
But going back to what we're
that did that.
His locker should be on the back of an A train going.
You know what? You get put in the locker room.
Absolutely.
Your name should get tagged up there, right, on the wall of fucking shame for pulling some shit like that. Like that's some rookie shit.
Yeah, but we go back to
what? Go down there and apologize. Go work at the lemonade stand. Rebuild the rapport you fucked up with the people. Make it right. That's it.
We can go back. We can go back to the argument that. Right. We can go back to the argument Mike was making about 4 guys in every unit who didn't have a problem writing red light tickets. Like they wanted to do that. So now you have those same 4 guys just cruising around small neighborhoods writing little kids tickets for selling lemonade without a license. It's the exact same thing.
Deputy douchebag.
It's the exact same thing. So
let's make him a little badge, CJ.
Right.
We need a deputy douchebag.
I think
badge that they can hand out to their nearest douchebag police. If somebody pulls a fucked up move like that on me, and I had this happen, I got pulled over down in the Boot Hill of Missouri for doing like 2 over, right, on a long stretch of highway, no cars, no nothing, and I'm on recruiting duty, right? I just dropped off my older boy in Tennessee to his mother, was doubling back to Arkansas, just cruising along, beautiful Sunday, my heart's full. Just dropped off my older boy, and I'm on this long stretch of highway down there in the bottom of the boot, and I'm approaching this police officer, and my truck, it didn't have any type of cruise control or anything, right? And it was a manual transmission truck. Surprisingly enough, you don't see those very often. But regardless, I'm coming up on him, and I don't have a digital, right? I've got the fucking actual little needle, right? And you don't know, am I doing 60? Am I doing 62? I can't really tell because it's fucking square. I don't know. But gradually, I come up on the police officer and decide I'm going to go around him. And so I was like, fuck it. And I go around him at like 1 or 2 miles an hour. It probably takes me 15 miles to pass this guy because I'm being very intentional about I'm not speeding. I'm slowly walking past. And then I move over and he drifts way back, right? Or he was right there or he comes up a little bit and then he drifts way back. And then he rockets up on me. Whoa! He rockets up on my ass and like fucking gets right on my bumper. Lights and sirens going. I'm like, what the fuck? I pull over. This guy comes up, all deputy dog. And as it were, he's a black man. So here we're going to have, it's going to be the reverse. We've got a black police officer interacting now with a clean-cut white male on a rural road in southern Missouri, right? Where the situation reversed, this is the most dangerous situation for black men, and that's what's advertised in this country. But it's not. It's a black police officer and a white man. An old deputy dog rolls up on me and goes, "It seems, why are you in such a hurry, sir?" I said, "Not in a hurry, officer. I was just doing like 1 or 2 over. You know, it's beautiful outside, sun's shining. I got music turned up. You know, I just, saw that, you weren't maintaining a real consistent speed there. And so, I just kind of gradually went around you and knew that I was just doing 1 or 2 over you." And he goes, "Well, you know how fast you were going?" I said, well, like, I don't know, 62, or no, 61. He goes, you were doing 62. I'm like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was the fucking speed demon, sir. Like, and in my brain, I'm now like, this isn't real, right? Like, he's fucking with me. Like, this is like caught on camera, right? Somebody set me up. There's some bullshit going down. No, he was dead ass serious. But that's the mindset of some of these people, which again, I think if the average person was watching through a live stream, they would agree with the person making that accusation. They would go, yeah, that's stupid. What are you doing?
You also, you forget to, he's got a number to meet. He's got a daily number. He's on the highway. He's got a daily number to meet.
Well, we went back and forth. He actually pressed me a second and third time on what was the hurry. And at this point, I get pretty defensive. I was a younger guy. I was only 22, 23, maybe somewhere in there, 22, 23. And so I was a younger guy. Had only been in the Navy about 5.5 years. But that part of us that men like us have of this is bullshit. And I smell the bullshit now. And I finally told him, look, officer, if you're gonna write me a ticket, just write me the citation, and I'll come back here and I will see you in court. It's not that far from me, or let me go. Let me go on with my day. And he finally was like, you remember that, as police officers, that you don't pass police officers. I'm like, okay, you're right. You're right. You don't pass police. That's a written law. It's a statute. You're right. Just let me go about my day. You're far smarter than me, sir. I'm
That's
sorry.
a statute? Is that a real statute?
No.
Oh.
No, it was one he fucking made up because that was what he asked me. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't. That's what he asked me. He had asked me.
He got pissed off because his head was up his ass and you passed him.
He asked me when he pulled me over. I forgot to say that. He goes, "Did you know that you're not supposed to pass police officer?" He was like a highway patrol. He wasn't city or county. He was like highway patrol. He wasn't a city or county guy. And he goes, "Did you know you're not supposed to pass police officers?" And I said, "Well, I've got a driver's license, and while I only got it 5 or 6 years ago, I've never heard or seen that anywhere, sir." I'm like, if that's an actual law or statute, I would be willing to look at that and say I was incorrect. But to my knowledge, I've never ever heard of that. But I can't say that in today's society, right? I can't say as a white man that I actually had a negative interaction with a police officer. It can't work like that from either side. Republicans will go, "You're anti-cop. You hate police." I'm like, no, asshole. I'm just telling you about a time where I think I was treated pretty shitty by a police officer. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So
crazy.
I think the live body cam footage is a viable solution, and I think that we could we could make it work.
Oh,
yeah.
I was going to circle back. That was one of the other things I want to talk about. I'm glad you brought it back up again. One of the other guys was talking about live PD and liking, loving, like, that's like live PD is a good thing. The difference between live PD and having a live stream 24/7 of all police interactions is you run into a Fourth Amendment thing with people. Because I can tell you that if I knew that my city or my county had 24/7 access to live body cam footage, that I would absolutely invoke my Fourth Amendment right every single time I had an interaction with a police officer, because at this point now, everything is being recorded live that everybody can view, which I don't disagree with the fact that I would love to be able to get my hands on body cam footage anytime that I want it. However, I don't want it out in the open 24/7. So going back to live PD, a lot of times what was happening on live PD was producers would approach the situation in a way that they had permission one way or the other for the cameras to show their faces. If the people did not want the camera to show their face, then they would blur it out. So there was enough of a delay during a live PD that a police officer would say, "Hey, I have a camera crew with me. Do you agree with being recorded? Your face being whatever, blah, 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 blah." If the answer was yes or no, then they would make the adjustment for that. You can't do that in real time with a body cam being sent to a server and then everybody being able to watch it at any time of any day. I don't disagree with the fact that there's a lot of shit that people should not be exposed to every single day that a police officer went to. My dad was a police officer for 35 years. So I absolutely understand what goes on in, at those calls. I've done 10 million ride-alongs, just in the time that my dad was a police officer. So I've seen the absolute 100% helpfulness of police officers. I've seen we have to investigate why this car's parked on the side of the road. Holy shit, this was stolen. Now we got to find the bad guy, blah, 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 all this stuff. I never dealt with the the absolute, massacre of a car accident or, anything like that. But funny story is I was doing a ride along. It's when I used to live in Arizona. I was doing a ride along with a police officer in Globe, Arizona, between Florence and Globe, that county, Pinal County. And we saw a vehicle parked off the side of the road, kind of way back. And Florence prison is there. And a lot of the correctional officers of Florence State Prison would get arrested for smuggling drugs into the prison for the inmates. So they had Hell's Angels there, and MS-13, and a lot of those guys were housed there. And so we saw this car parked off on the side of the road. So we went down, came back, and this is a prime example of why live streaming body cam footage straight to a server that everybody can view is a bad idea. When we approached the vehicle, there was you guys have heard of Biodome, right? Or the Biosphere.
Biosphere, yeah.
So the Biosphere is in Arizona. So we pulled up, and there was a couple in the back seat of this car having sex.
Yeah.
So now you're live.
That's liberty, baby.
Yeah. Like, good for them. You know what I mean? But now you're live streaming that. You know what I'm saying? Like full everything. And I think that's one of the that goes back to what the guys in the UK were talking about. You're essentially live broadcasting to people.
Toss a little pebble, right?
Yeah.
A couple clinks on the hood. Hey.
Well, but you don't know that. You don't know that immediately until you approach the vehicle. You know what I mean? So he walks up, he sees it, he comes back a little ways. Everybody gets their shit together. They get out of the car and find out she works at the Biosphere. It's her boyfriend. They came down. They just couldn't make it to the hotel. They hadn't seen each other months or whatever. They couldn't make the hotel. So they just pulled outside the road. They thought it was a good place because it was off the road. And
great place.
So
great place. It's public roads.
For a police officer, they see something like that, especially with the drug smuggling going into the prison. He's thinking one thing and something else completely different was happening. So that's where I think that the separation of content live recording streamed somewhere is a bad idea. However, we need to change the laws that if something happens, we need to be able to have access to that video immediately.
Right.
It can't be held and edited and all that stuff.
Here's the body cam.
Weeks and weeks and weeks, and then released to the public because we don't know if that's all of the footage. Just like when we get cell phone footage of something happened with law enforcement, we know a bunch of stuff happened before that, but we're only getting this edited version. It needs to be the entire version, or it doesn't get released.
Right. It should be the entire version, right? And that's what I'm saying. I mean, it should be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I don't agree with it just being recorded either, because then people go into databases. If it's live streaming, then you've got plenty of people to back up the police officer. You've also got other people to back up the accused, right? In which therein you would basically have more of an equality process of those debating and arguing the most accurate information possible, right? The general public shouldn't be getting monitored, right? We shouldn't be seeking to have some sort of a police state, which is what we have with all of these, all of just all of the patrols and the police cars enforcing just these penal codes and ordinances and shit. Our police should be there as like thank God. Anytime the police show up, it should be thank God the police are here, right? When you really appreciate that person showing up, you treat them with respect. You treat them with dignity. You don't fucking curse at them. You don't yell at them. You don't treat them like they're not a human being. Okay. But when we develop that type of community policing, where we don't ask our police to enforce bullshit laws, okay, you're going to start to weed out those bad police officers. You will weed out the ones who, for whatever reason, okay, maybe they've got some sort of cognitive issue. Maybe they've got some sort of health issue. We just want to just go, bam, the police officer's a fucking piece of shit. I don't know. Maybe the police officer had been in combat, has PTSD that's undiagnosed because, you know, the VA isn't known to fuck anything up, right? But you begin to bring in the clearer picture, the humanity of that police officer, as well as the person that the police officer is interacting with. And when they see police officers every day, where police don't get any credit, hardly any, a couple times on local news, they would see the normalization that the majority of interactions police have every single day, and they have thousands of interactions. They're pleasant, right? They're respectful, right? The few, you know, the few negative interactions that they have, it could be they're getting they're fucking overworked. They're on mandatory overtime. They're doing 60, 70, 80 hours a week, right? They're doing mandatory overtime. They've got these expectations and quotas they got to fucking meet. All this stress is put on them. They still got family problems they got to deal with. We're denying them their humanity by not having that discussion about the fact that they're complex human beings, the same as we are, and we're putting them in these predicaments and forcing them, using their livelihood, right? What was born into them and what they were taught, we're using that and weaponizing that against our police. And so we're pitting working men and women. That's why I say blue collar, the police are the blue collar whipping boys for shitty domestic policy. We got to stop taking out on police, and police have to stop taking out on the citizens because we're all just getting fucked in the end.
Yeah, I think that if more police officers came together and said, "Hey, we're not going to," like a lot of these counties are saying, you know, we're not going to enforce these lockdowns, we're not going to enforce these things, we're not going to enforce that thing. I think if we start pushing back against the laws that especially police officers that know immediately, like, this is the dumbest thing, this is going to put us in danger if we try to enforce this. I think if more police officers came together and said, we are collectively not, especially police unions saying collectively we're not going to do this, then I think we're going to see a change in ignorant laws being passed. And that's why I go back constantly to the law is supposed to protect property. So if I'm speeding, what property am I damaging?
Yeah,
at this point? If I'm driving at excessive speed, it's my property. It's my property. If I run over a sign,
I'll let Mike give the argument. I'll let Mike do it.
Yeah.
I'll let Mike. He's a veteran.
It comes down to the basics of who am I injuring, who am I causing a loss to, things to that nature. I mean, I think the police officer should be at the discretion to turn on and off that thing when he needs to. Right. I think you have to, if you're going to hire a guy and you're going to train him
when he needs to. Keywords.
When he needs to. I don't need to do.
When he wants to. When he needs.
I don't need to do it on every interaction I have on the street. I didn't have to. You either trust me to be out there or you don't. Because if I have to keep it on all the time, I'm telling you right now, yeah, hi, hello, how are you? You're not going to get a lot of productivity.
No, because you're a human being.
And you want to know why that the shootings are up in New York City, why the burglary rates are up, why all the major 7 crimes are skyrocketing? It's because cops are.
They're done with the bullshit. I know. I was at those rallies, these Back to Blue rallies, where I went to one up there in Long Island. It was organized by Corinne Murphy. Great job.
Bullshit.
Those police were like, and this is something that nobody's talking about, right? You're going to hear it. You're hearing this shit first. Look, something that nobody's talking about. What I witnessed in New York, this is going to seriously change politics, I believe, in this country. And it's because the police unions are now speaking out against specific Democrats and heads of the Democratic Party in that state. They're calling them out by name in public at Back to Blue rallies. They are no longer where the Democratic Party had such a hold on the labor unions and the police. It's because it's the working men inside the police that are fighting back. They're going, nope, you know what? We're not agreeing to this bullshit any longer. Okay, we're fucking had it, right? And they grew up in it. Those police officers are awakening to the fact that they have been being used because those labor members, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of them that I meet, they're pretty conservative or libertarian in their values. Okay. But what the Democratic Party promotes is
Hey,
against
Cash,
their
can I ask somebody a question?
Yeah, ask it.
Yeah, that's
Yes, sir. Fire
Hey,
on.
Steven, I keep
We got it.
seeing your comments popping up down there. I gotta ask, what is your solution? You keep saying you want transparency and
Yeah, son.
all this
Just give me a
stuff
second.
isn't happening because officers have body cameras. What would your solution be, Steven?
Hey, we gotta
Is it
wrap
just
down too, fellas. We gotta wrap down too, because CJ's gotta
okay? All right, CJ. That's just my curiosity because I hear a lot of good comments, and I'm reading them, but I don't see any solutions coming from people.
Right. Well,
It's all the same stuff. We need more body cameras. We need online. But what's the solution?
Well, I mean, exactly what I said. The solution, and I know you're talking about Steven over here.
If you look at
we're throwing things out.
statistically, it's not the police officers that are the problem.
No. Hey, but hold on though.
It's not the police. It is
it's what we've been talking about. It's
society.
The policy. What is the society? That's too vague, right? You can't get to a solution just saying society. What in society? The domestic policy the society is agreeing to, because our legislators are passing these laws. We're working as working men and women. We're overly worked. Okay, let's admit that. You're tired. You're fucked up. Your body's beat down. It's okay. It's okay to work hard, right? To get those calluses on your hand, to bust your ass for your family and for yourself, and to build your future. That's okay. But we're misled and we're sold in this identity that we have to consume and acquire all of these material things. It drives consumerism. And when it does that, you're not as involved in the process that's the most important. And it's the process that's depriving you of your liberty and forcing you to work more. It's depriving you of your property and forcing you to work more hours, longer hours, harder hours, more sacrifices, because you're not taking the time to get involved and have these deeper political conversations about state policy and how everyone's being affected. Mike's a 24-year veteran of the NYPD. He's a human being and he's been fucked, and nobody wants to acknowledge his humanity and that it hurts him as a man to not see his children, to be alienated from his kids. Nobody wants to step up there for Mike and the police officers in these fucking unions and go, hey, don't take this police officer's fucking weapon from him and put him on a desk just because he got an emergency order protection placed on him because he's in a fucking domestic dispute, right? They don't give a fuck about those police officers. I've seen it.
You're misunderstanding what I'm talking about, Cash.
We got to go. See, if we got a misunderstanding, we'll work it out offline. Me and you.
Hey, I just want to make sure, Cash, we don't have to go right this second. I just want to make sure that everybody gets a closing thought. That's all. So,
okay,
however you want to close it out.
I'll tell you what. Mike, you came in first. I'm going to give you the last word, then Jason, and then Sean.
Yeah, all I have to say is just in life, keep it simple, stupid.
Bam! Thank you. Thank you. Veterans
simple.
know that. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. That's it. You know?
Love you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike's out. Jason. Keep it simple, stupid.
The only thing I want to say is all the cameras in the world are not going to help. What'll help is people raising their kids.
How do we?
Even
that comes back to domestic policy, though, Jason. We go right back to domestic policy because we can't raise our kids.
Agree with all the police officers, not the issue.
Hold on. You still got more domestic policy you got to fix, right? You're still not at the heart of the solution.
Passing the laws are the issue. We can beat up on the cops all day long. That's
not
going to solve anything.
We're not beating up the cops. We're beating up the policies they have to enforce. We're beating up. We're beating up
on the
cameras will
That's
help.
not going to solve. No one wants to see the cop going and take a leak.
Nobody said it would solve it, right? Look, we're talking about, okay, you've identified a problem. Fantastic. Now give me a solution
can
for
say
when the cop goes to take a leak.
Can't raise.
I don't care. You don't want to watch a cop take a leak? You know, I don't give a fuck. I had to do urinalysis. I was a urinalysis fucking person in the military. You know what that is? You go to watch grown men piss, okay? Right? And you don't get a choice. They tell you, Cash, hey, you're going to go in there and you're going to go watch a line of fucking dudes pee in a cup, and you have to do it. We don't give a shit if you like it or not. Right? Imagine if you had to do that shit working at J.C. Penney's, right? Imagine if they told the lady out there on the floor, hey, it's your turn, bitch. Get in there. Go watch all them fucking women pee in a cup. Right? They do that to the service members. We don't get a choice, right? Just like they don't get a choice in these vaccinations. You know, they don't get a choice. They got to take it. If they don't, they're going to get shit on, right? So, you know what, police officer, you know, it's a dirty fucking job you're in, right? People don't want to watch you pee. Well, you know, I don't know. We can come up with a solution. I don't know. We can slide a little cup over the top of it. Hey, I got to use the head going in. All right? You see me going? All right, there it is. Whatever. I don't know. Put your finger over the fucking thing. I got to take a leak. It's not that hard. We can figure it out. Solution oriented. Solve the problem. But it has to fail towards the side of liberty. It doesn't fail to the side of tyranny. It fails to the side of liberty. All right. Sean, you're up, brother.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your channel here, man. It's great. I plan on donating a Patreon.
Hell yeah!
And
which one
my final,
like, are you going to be
my final
Supreme
like
supporter? Come on, man. Make my day. Come on, man. I'm fucking working.
Probably.
I'm hustling.
Probably.
Like,
yeah.
I'll say probably. If you don't, I don't hold it against
no,
you. You know
I feel you, bro. And if I would love to be part of this network and talk liberty every single day, because I'm trying to teach my kids liberty and what law is supposed to be and all that stuff. But
how do you make a living?
I do I'm a 1099 employee. I don't pay taxes. So I just leave it at that.
My kind of man.
I'm a huge believer in.
Do you have a trade or something that's useful?
Want my money going to the government for?
I'm asking you. Do you have a trade or something that's
man? Useful? I'm a helicopter mechanic, dude.
I
was 14. I was 12 years in the military, in the army.
Shit, yeah.
So that's like my thing. Yeah, well, I'm a helicopter mechanic. I can barely work on cars, but I can work on a $25 million aircraft, but I can't work on a $30,000 car. So
I'll say my own submarine.
I can do some plumbing stuff because I'm handy and I can frame a little bit and stuff like that. So I make my money so the government doesn't take any of my money. You know what I'm saying?
You're a tradesman.
But
amen to that, brother.
Yeah.
Ain't mad at you.
So
good for you. Good for you.
But
hey, we have to stop. We definitely have to stop talking that he doesn't pay his taxes. Good for him, the smart bastard. I need to figure out what he's doing.
Yeah, no, I think that our tax rate in this country should be 0. If you want to pay to if you want to have a police department, and this is where I think I will differ for everybody in the stream, is I think police departments should be privatized and county courts should still be government. And there's a reason why I say that, because they're both protected by the same. Well, exactly. So I live in an HOA, which I hate, which I'm moving out of soon.
Right. The public would still get what the public
exactly.
needs.
So if you
liberty, that's it, right? Not
exactly. And I think that's we have to separate. Yeah, we have to separate the police department from the state government somehow, and that's why I talk about privatization of the police department.
And they should
organizations should have their own.
They should allow
to protect their property. So if I live in an HOA,
the delay's killing us. That's what's happened. That's what's fucking us up. There's a delay.
Yeah, if I live in an HOA, I should have my own law enforcement agency inside my HOA. So that way rules that I put in place in my HOA my law enforcement agency takes care of. So when I have to go to court, it's separated between my police department and the court. So that way there's no siding with one side or the other. The court has to actually decide, excuse me, who's right and who's wrong. And right now, because they're both part of the same thing, they're going to protect each other. So there's no separation there. And that's why I think privatization of law enforcement should happen. But
yeah, it can happen
whatever.
too.
Beyond that, I think that we have to change our thinking, and every single one of us has been ingrained at some point. And the comment section is kind of a plethora of what I'm about to talk about. Is that we blindly follow things, whether it's right or wrong, and we see how much wrong law enforcement does, and we see how much right they do, and we defend them no matter what.
Right.
However, the second that we talk about the military dropping, making drone strikes when there's a Democrat in office, we throw a fit about it. But when there's a Republican in office, we're protecting freedom and stuff like that. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to make a decision at some point,
right,
in your own thinking. And as a military veteran,
I gotta cut you, man. I gotta do the dick move and just give you the.
No, you're good, man.
Cut.
You're
Brother,
good,
thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate you. I hope to have you back on again in the near future.
Yeah.
So that's it, man. We're giving it a wrap. We're out of here for the day. It's been a great discussion there. Please go over to our Patreon, become a VIP patron. We want you to be a citizen journalist for us. And by coming over and contributing, right, it illustrates to us that, number one, you're committed to the cause. You're committed to growing the Veteran Liberty Network and the War is Hell podcast. We want you on. We want to hear from you. We want more people like we have Anthony and Tony, or I'm sorry, I call him both. We got Tony and Frank over on the East Coast right now, operating in the New York, DC region. They are part of the foundation and the founders of this group, and they're citizen journalists that are currently doing the dirty work at the BLM and Proud Boys marches. They're in there covering that stuff. Go over to the VLN page and check it out. And thanks to all of our contributors, especially those of you who have joined us on Patreon, where all of this platform is gradually shifting over to, and where the real growth and the real teamwork will begin to facilitate an entirely different style of media. Thank you again for joining us. My name is Cash Jackson. We're out here for the day.
Action! Shut